Hi Blue Group, Mr. Pastel here, and we're going to start with the warm-up, which is comparing a Komodo dragon and a red-tailed boa. If you want to read a little bit about them, that's right here. So they have some shared structures that they have in common, in that they're both reptiles, but they also have some different structures. For example, Komodo dragons have legs. Obviously, snakes do not have legs, but they have other differences as well. Why do Komodo dragons and red-tailed boas have some shared structures, and why do they have some different structures? So, they have some shared structures because they're both reptiles, and they had a common ancestor that was also a reptile that handed down the traits that they have in common. But why are they different? Well, organisms become different because they need to fit different environments. So Komodo dragons, I believe, live in islands in Indonesia, and they hunt very large prey, and they have venom or poison, one of those. Whereas red-tailed boas probably hunt smaller things, and they live in different places. So it's all about environment. So they have different structures because they have different jobs in their environment. Let's go to part 2. So we're going to revisit the natural selection simulation. And what you're going to do is compare two different populations of Australopes, population A and population B, who lived in two different environments. Okay, so reminders. Australopes with longer necks can eat taller thorn palms, kind of like giraffes. Australopes with stronger jaws can eat thorn palms with really large thorns, which try to protect the thorn palms, basically. So, in population A, the environment changed to have taller thorn palms. What do you think will happen to Australope population A? Well, in order to adapt, they will need longer necks. So some of them might get longer necks, but if the tree is too tall, some of them might not be able to adapt, so they would not survive. They would die. Population B, thorn palms with larger thorns. Some of the Australopes might be able to adapt with stronger jaws in order to get through the thorns. Some may not, some may die. That's just nature. So you're going to test this. The details are here. So you open the natural selection simulation. You go to species change mode. I'll let that load. Species change mode. You change the height of the thorn palms for the first one, and you run 50 generations, and you see what happens to the neck length. Did it change? It should. Make sure you increase the speed. And then you test the jaw. Let's see. Well, in that first test, you also look at the jaw strength, but it shouldn't really change based on the fact that you're just changing the height of the thorn palms. But if you change the thorn size and the thorn size variation, you should, and run that for 50 generations, you should see a change in jaw strength. But you shouldn't see very much change in neck length because it's not necessary. How are population A and B different? After 50 generations, I suppose. Population for A, they should end up with longer necks because of reaching the taller trees, and population B should have stronger jaws. So the environment caused this difference. But they still have some similarities because they both had a common ancestor, which was the original Australope population. But then they became different because they had two different environments. Let's go to part 3, which is Tuesday's assignment. So, open vertebrates mode of the evolutionary history simulation. Okay, done. Vertebrates. Place these 3 fossil species in the 3 open locations. Acanthostega. Let's see where we can drop it. Nope. Yes. Okay. Eusthenopteron. Yes. Okay. Tiktaalik. Yep. Okay. What now? You're going to pick 2 that you choose to examine and look for some structures that both of them share. So let's see. Structures. So they both have certain bones. Looks like they have similar bones, such as radius, ulna, distal bones, pelvis, but the shape of the bones are different. So, name some structures you think the common ancestor population might have had. Well, those bones that I just said, radius, ulna, pelvic bone. Explain why you think the ancestor population had these structures. It must have been useful for the ancestor population to have those limb bones, basically, the radius and the ulna. And the pelvic bone helps in some way, whether it's a limb or a fin. Okay, last thing today. So what's the main thing you learned from Monday and Tuesday today? Use this vocab. I would use common ancestor population, descendant population, environment. Those are the main ones for you guys, for the blue group. And record the main thing you learned from today. You don't have to use all these words, just use what you learned over the past 2 days.